Justice Department issued new guidelines on Friday that expand the number of businesses who can cite religious or moral grounds for opting out of providing free birth control to women in their health care plans. The new rule goes beyond the previously exempted religious groups that don't want to subsidize birth control and now includes businesses of all sizes, schools and universities, and nonprofits as well. The religious exemption to the Obamacare birth control mandate, first of all, the Affordable Care Act mandate, is part of the executive order Trump previously issued on religious freedom in May. Now, Democrats are furious. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand tweeted, "Women across the country will suffer because of this decision. This shouldn't have been up for debate. In the first place, we'll fight back." Former California Senator Barbara Boxer, "Free birth control reduces abortions. Trump administration taking away free birth control. How does this make sense?" Attorney General Jeff Sessions wrote in a statement, "Except in the narrowest of circumstances, no one should be forced to choose between living out his or her faith and complying with the law to the greatest extent practicable and permitted by law. Religious observance and practice should be reasonably accommodated in all government action, including employment, contracting, and programming." Joining us right now is Alencia Johnson, Director of Constituency Communications for Planned Parenthood Federation of America. I take it you think this is a bad idea.
Oh, it's a horrible idea. You are literally threatening 16 million women from being able to access birth control with no copay for religious, moral, or whatever reason now, right? Under the Affordable Care Act, under President Obama, even if an employer opted out for religious reasons, there were protections under the Affordable Care Act for women to get access to birth control. And so you think about this is happening when they're trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act. They're trying to block certain patients from seeing Planned Parenthood or other healthcare providers with their Medicaid and family planning Title X coverage. And so you're literally trying to unliberate half of the population. You're literally telling women that you don't need help paying for your birth control, when we know, particularly for Black women, that Black women have a harder time paying for birth control. Roughly near 40% of Black women have a hard time paying for birth control over $10 a month. And so you're telling women that you taking care of your body, 9 in 10 women who use a form of contraception, for whatever reason it is, that you're telling women that you have no right to take care of your body and have agency over the decisions that you make.
And what is interesting to me here is that, so they're pro-life and they want fewer abortions, right, or they don't want any abortions,
right,
but then you say no birth control. I'm confused.
Right, and you know, we are at a record all-time low for abortions, all-time low of unintended pregnancy, all-time low of teen pregnancy. Why? Because of increased funding to family planning programs, of increased access to birth control. So if that is your reasoning, it actually doesn't quite add up, and it's actually not common sense that you would take away a woman's ability to access birth control.
Well, Eugene, if you can explain the Republican obsession with this issue. I mean, every time the Republicans get in charge, they get obsessed about abortion and birth control and these issues. They don't get obsessed about the gun issue. Like, so we have regulated, you know, obviously women's private parts more than we have guns. Right. My question is, what is the obsession with this issue?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I couldn't explain it. You know, personally, you know, I come from the libertarian wing of the party. I don't think, you know, I am personally pro-life, but I also believe that government shouldn't come in and tell people how to necessarily live their lives. That's just not the role of government. You know, I make a living of calling out conservatives that are hypocrites. You know, you want to, you know, we're just talking about police brutality in the First Amendment. You know, you tell me that, you know, rights shouldn't be legislated or put up for a ballot. You know, same thing when it comes to the First Amendment. I think the same thing when it comes to...
And it's intellectually dishonest,
It is,
right?
I agree with you. I mean, you realistically cannot, you can't have both. You got to have one or the other. You cannot say, okay, I'm going to be pro-life, and, you know, we're not going to do the abortion thing, but at the same time, I'm not going to give you, or at least enable you with the option to mitigate the rise of abortion.
Right. Well, the other strange aspect of this is, in fact, if you're pro-life, you care about life and all that. Why don't you care about life after people are born? Because in policy, we see a lot of examples of conservatives really not caring after people are here, particularly with regard to poverty policy.
Where's the Republican Child Care Caucus?
I'll put it this way. My argument has always been, you know, when it comes to, you know, pro-life activists and activism dollars and the hundreds of millions of dollars that are spent in activism and fighting the pro-life war. I think that money would be much better spent in actual investing in families and giving people options beyond what just in front when it comes to
Like
abortion.
Planned Parenthood.
But that's what family planning is, right? It is an option to decide how and when you're going to have your family. It's also ironic that they put out this rule a year after that Access Hollywood video came out in the election, right? So Donald Trump and his administration have been attacking women since before he was even elected, right? And I feel as though this happening on that day was kind of a slap in the face. But the other piece of birth control is that people talk about birth control in relation to pregnancy. Now, 9 in 10 women use contraception. Around 6 in 10 of those women talk about using birth control for other conditions such as fibroids, endometriosis. And so you're telling women that we literally cannot take care of our bodies.
All right. Well, Lindsay, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no.
That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong. He
Unfiltered.
wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.